Welcome to the Rocker Dad Podcast, episode number 4. I'm Rich Antonelli. Today I have Joel Hoekstra. You know Joel from Whitesnake, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Rock of Ages, Night Ranger, and even Cher. Joel was gracious enough to come onto the podcast today, and we talked a little bit about everything today. We talked about his solo CD, Dying to Live, TSO. We talked about his time in Rock of Ages. We talked a little bit about Whitesnake. In the Cher gig that he has coming up. We talk about what gear he's playing through nowadays when he does his live performances. Really cool guy. But before we get to that, I want to just thank everybody that has been listening to the prior episodes. And please, if you haven't already, if you like what you're hearing, and to help me keep getting these cool guests like Joel, subscribe. iTunes is probably the best way to go. And if you are on iTunes, if you could leave a review or a rating for this, that's going to help out even further. So again, thank you. I hope to have some really cool guests coming up on this podcast. I'm going to try to do them once a week if I can. If not, maybe every 2 weeks, but I'll do the best I can with that. So I'm not going to stop talking now, but I'm going to get Joel on here, and we're going to go from there. Here he is, Joel Hoekstra. All right, welcome to the Rocker Dad Podcast, episode number 4, and I am here with Mr. Joel Hoekstra. How you doing, Joel?
I'm great. Thanks so much for taking the time, dude.
Oh no, this thanks is all mine. This is a fairly new podcast, and getting someone with your accomplishments on here is hopefully going to help this out, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Cool. All right, so let's. Where did you grow up? First of all, are you a native New Yorker?
No, the burbs of Chicago.
Chicago.
Actually.
Oh, that's right. I don't know why I'm asking. I knew that. But you've been in New York for a while.
Yeah, I guess over 16 years, so it's starting to be like the the norm. Yeah, I tour a lot, so it's
right.
Anything is home, whatever.
whatever hotel you're in, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So the first time I actually heard of you, saw you, I'm not sure if it was That Metal Show or for TSO.
Oh, okay.
And
cool.
I've seen it a few times with TSO, but I think the very first time I was in maybe the 4th or 5th row was in Providence, Rhode Island. I'm in Rhode Island.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
And the dunk. Yeah, and it's funny because I was in the 4th row on the aisle, like on the left-hand side, on your side of the stage, and I was with my kids, and they had never seen a rock show before, and they loved it. But that's when you guys came down into the crowd. Mm-hmm. With the guitars. And it's funny, you came down to my left and you kind of stopped right in front of me, handed me a guitar pick, gave it to my daughter. So that was my first interaction with you.
Oh, cool.
My second interaction, I'm sure you don't remember this, was, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years ago at the Iridium. Les Paul tribute, Richie Sambora.
Oh, right on, man.
Yeah. I guess you were at the show, and I remember seeing Joe Lynn Turner there too that night.
Yeah.
And I just came up to you, said hi, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's pretty cool." So that was my my 2 dealings with you before this podcast. So
awesome.
That was cool. But so TSO, you started. What was your first? You've been like
2010.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 6-7 years now.
I auditioned in 2009. So I had 2 auditions, just kind of like anybody else. But Alex Skolnick needed to miss a year at the time.
Yep.
He was going to take his trio out opening for, I think there's Rodrigo and Gabriella, and hope I'm saying that right. Anyway, he was taking that out, so they needed a player. A couple guys in the band recommended me, and auditioned for Al Pitrelli first, and then the second one was Al Pitrelli and Paul O'Neill kind of together in Tampa.
Yep.
The first one was for Al here in New York, and things worked out. And yeah, I mean, what you were talking about right there is it's just one of the coolest things. You're playing for kids and stuff,
yep.
And I really love that. I mean, it's a moment where you feel like you really can impact a kid's life. You go down like that, and that's something that makes a kid's year, or it's which is crazy because you're just having fun. And but you don't really get to do that in a normal band, if that makes sense. Like if I'm playing with Whitesnake, I can't duck out into the crowd and go play for a 7-year-old kid and make their day. It just doesn't happen. So
right.
It's really fun. I mean that for me is part of the whole just fun and charm of doing the TSO gig.
Now, are you going to be doing? Are you staying on with them, or it just depends on the Whitesnake
No, I mean I should be good to go.
Yeah.
There was the first year got complicated when I was with Whitesnake because Def Leppard kind of changed some tour dates
Yeah.
basically on Whitesnake. So when I joined Whitesnake, I've got this TSO gig and it's really important to me. And they said, okay, well we'll avoid it. And they kind of had it geared to end in October, and then Def
Right.
Leppard, it was this whole run with them, co-headlining in the UK, huge shows, and they kind of shifted it and said we need it to be in December because their record was late, and it put David in a tough spot and me in a tough spot, and it just, so basically, I begged for a year off. I just said, please, can I have a year off, and please understand my scenario and my situation.
Right.
So I was back last year in
Yep.
in 2016, and great to be back. And I've always loved the gig and loved the fans and appreciated it. It was just a tough situation there for a year.
Yeah, I missed last year's show, and this always happens. And I had on previous episode, I had I don't know, if you know Michael Britt from Lone Star.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I had him on, and I was telling him, and it's the same thing with you is with TSO, and then the last two times Whitesnake, you came to Twin River Casino,
oh right on, yeah.
and every time you're around, or every time he was around, I'm out gigging somewhere else.
Ah,
So I miss it every time. It lines up. I don't know what the hell it is, but it just lines up that way.
well, everything that I've been able or fortunate enough to be a part of, all these gigs have their certain charms and things
Yeah.
that are really, really great about them, and
Yep.
Whitesnake, I think, showcases me a whole heck of a lot. I mean, David gives his players all a lot of room.
Yes.
I have a solo all to myself on the stage, and that's something you don't get in a lot of bands. In fact, I hadn't done that since my very first band that I was in when I was a kid. So that was neat. Also kind of scary because I went, oh, shoot, I got to
Come up with something, yeah.
I mean, I had that with any of the other bands I've been a part of all these years. So I went, oh man, I got to be entertaining all on my own out there. But it's a great experience, and when you get to do that for some of the big European festival crowds and stuff, those are total surreal moments.
Oh yeah.
We're playing Vakken for 9,000 people last year, and I'm the only one playing on stage. I mean, it's an insane moment.
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine that. Now, the other thing I kind of regret not seeing you in was Rock of Ages. I saw the traveling show a couple of times, and I had wanted to get out to New York to the Helen Hayes Theater, but I just never did. So how was that? And you actually you're playing with the band on April 27th, like a kind of a reunion gig, or is it?
Yeah, what we've been doing is, we take the guys who are in the band and we just go out and play kind of the real versions of the songs. It's just for me, it's
Just for fun.
See all those guys. Yeah, it's just fun, man.
That's cool.
It's like me being but I love all those guys that I worked with those guys for over 6 years, so it's kind of like just a chance to hang with those guys and have some fun, and I do like all those 80s tunes, I mean.
Oh yeah, I do too.
So it's fun for me to play it, but yeah, that having that gig was a real blessing, man. It's not, as I often say, it's like no kid like me and you starts playing their guitar when they're young and goes, I want to be in a Broadway show someday. So it's not exactly like you're living the dream, but it changed my financial reality hugely, because the craziest thing about that is you could take off whenever you needed to tour. So it's not like because I got Rock of Ages I needed to quit Night Ranger or turn on the TSO gig. If I was only doing that, that would have changed my feelings about it drastically, because it doesn't really lead to anything. It's just kind of a lead to other Broadway shows, maybe, which isn't necessarily a dream of mine, so to speak, So the beautiful thing was that I had 6 subs during that time period, and I would just call them and schedule them when I was playing with Night Ranger or with TSO, and I could head off and be able to tour as much as I wanted. And the day I was home, I had a gig, and that led to all kinds of super cool scenarios. I mean, it was like having a gig every day for 6 years, basically. So it's playing 375 shows a year, essentially.
Yeah, I'd love that. That'd be awesome. But Well, one of your subs, I kind of know, Johnny.
I knew you were going to know John because I hit the Long Island accent. I knew it was John.
Yeah, Johnny. Yeah, everybody knows Johnny, right?
Yeah, Johnny's great, man.
Yeah, great guy. Yeah, I had the pleasure of jamming with him once when he was doing the Bon Jovi tribute.
Yeah, he does great with all.
Yeah,
tribute.
Excellent guitar. Now he's off doing Chicago tribute.
Yeah,
really well.
So he's in the Chicago tribute. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. And now, how did this? I got to ask this which is a really cool gig, is this thing with Cher you have coming up in Vegas. How did that come up?
Yeah, so that kind of ended up well. Okay, so I'm subbing. I'm just filling in for Dave Barry, the guitar player, awesome player, and I think he needed to take some time off to be on The Voice. I think he's maybe gonna. I don't know if he's subbing for Justin, my friend Justin, who plays
Derrico, right?
Yeah, Justin Derrico, exactly. Monster player, insane, and super nice guy. So Justin and I have known each other for a while, and I think he might have been the first one to recommend me. I think it was Justin, and I think the MD on The Voice, Paul Merkovich, sort of seconded the notion. They had come to a Whitesnake gig 2 years ago, I think, in Beverly Hills, and they know some of my friends as players, Brett Garson and TJ Helmrich, that I kind of have that fusion background and kind of, not just a shredder, so to speak. That's the fear for a guy like Dave is he's going to hire someone to do the gig, and I'm going to come in and try and play blazing licks all over the Cher gig.
Playing Eruption all night.
It's really just about, when you sub for somebody, it's trying to make everybody comfortable and feel like the guy who does the gig is there. So, I mean, it's nothing more than me learning exactly what Dave does note for note and just playing it back. But that's, believe it or not, something that a lot of guys don't do, and which is, you just have to be able to set the ego aside and just go, this is just gonna be a really fun life thing more than anything. It's not really about me expressing myself as a guitar player. You got tons of room for that in life, and but I mean, to get the opportunity to go play guitar in that scenario is really fun for me, and it break out of the 80s hard rock mold for a minute. I mean, it's probably still a bit 80s, but breaking out of the hard rock mold and the shredder mold for a minute is really fun for me.
Well, it's Cher.
Yeah.
That's how many people have been able to say that they played with Cher.
It's, it's the key with every gig you get. I just always tell this to young kids coming up to, and just people who haven't gotten the gigs, so to speak, is like every gig is going to have their positives, and it's really important that you look at all of those instead of like what the downside is to everything, because then you just start getting negative about it all, and there's really no such thing as a perfect gig, so to speak. I mean, there's always going to be moments where you go, how come it's not my way? And it's another important thought to go, well, when you're in a band, if you got 5%, if it's going your way 20% of the time, that's on par. Like you should only kind of be happy with the 20% of the decisions being made, which is very low. So that's so many bands break up and argue and fight over stuff like that, and that's also why bands, I think, often gravitate towards leadership and have the one or two guys that make the decisions, and that's why Whitesnake, in my opinion, functions so well. It's really just David. David's the guy, and all of us are happy to be there playing for him and playing with him, and there's kind of that understanding going in.
Yeah, I'm a huge Whitesnake fan. All the way back to the '70s. Now, I'm gonna switch over to your solo stuff, and your latest, Joel Hoekstra's 13. I had a chance to actually listen to it about a week ago, and it's right up my alley. It's just straight ahead rock and roll, no gimmicks, nothing crazy, just good songs. The vocals are insane on that. Your playing's insane. Jeff Scott Soto's voice is, I mean, I don't have to say anything about him. And your bass player on it, was that David Z?
It wasn't David. David did the live show with me on
He did the live show, that's right,
It's actually Tony Franklin on the album.
That's right, yep.
Firm and Blue Murder and, amazing bass. But both those guys are amazing players. I mean, I started making that without really knowing what it was going to be. So it kind of started like a band thing, you know. It was
Right.
like no big guitar solos, and I think I was just looking for an outlet to write some songs
Mm-hmm.
because I was kind of getting known in the hard rock thing, and my solo albums that were out before that were all fusiony and the
The
solo acoustic
acoustic.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
So I had a lot of people like, well, you just need a rock solo album. Like, what are you doing? And when it comes to that stuff, I'm just like everybody else. I don't really want to hear 2-minute guitar solo.
Right, yeah.
It gets boring, you know. It's like, all right, we've heard this. I just like cool tunes, and that's a whole lot of what I like about hard rock. It's just good songs. Like
But
it's
the melody, to me, it's the melody.
that's kind of what's more in my soul
Yeah,
than showing off on guitar. You know, if that makes sense.
well,
And,
yeah, well, even the guitar solos, like I prefer a melodic guitar solo over something, you know, like Yngwie would do
right.
on
Well,
a lot of his stuff.
what,
He does, but he blends both of it. You know, he does
whatever's
both
right
of
for
it.
the moment. You know.
Right, right, yeah. But
Like a
what you did on those tracks is what fits those songs. I can't like listening to them. I'm like, I can't hear something other than what you played on there. It just wouldn't fit.
Well, thanks, man. That's a great compliment.
The well, the one
Yeah.
song the one song that really stuck out to me was "Until I Left You." That track was a track. I think it's track 3.
Harmony solo, kind of the yeah. That's
Well, not even just the guitar. I mean the whole song,
Oh, thanks.
everything.
yeah. That hook had been around for a while. That chorus had been
That's what always happens.
been around for a while with me, and I was wondering about putting it on there because when I started recording the album, you know, it's like I got Vinny Appice and Tony Franklin kind of signed on first, and then Russell, and I went, well, okay, I should be making like a Dio on steroids kind of album, and so there's some heavy tracks.
Yeah.
You know, the heaviest became like a bonus track, and so I had that Until I Left You chorus, and I thought, you know, I signed with Frontiers about halfway through, and they're more known for like the melodic Euro rock thing, and so I went, well, maybe it'd be worth a go. I don't know that it's going to work with a group of musicians. I've never heard Vinny Appice play on a pop song like that. You know what I mean? It sounded great. I mean, it came out great, I think. So for me, it was kind of just represented the melodic side of what I dig, and I do dig pop stuff and really hooky choruses, and that's stuff that I really like. You know, it's it sets aside the muso thing for a minute and just kind of connects with what do I really like.
Yeah. What do you feel like listening to? You know.
What do I really like if I
Right.
set aside all that stuff? And it's like, okay, sometimes I just like really simple melodies over simple chords, and
That's my school right there, definitely. Now, who did you produce that, or did you have a co-producer, or?
I produced it basically. I mean, I had a lot of help from 2 engineers. Tommy Kessler did a lot of the editing for me. He was my bandmate in Rock of Ages, and this guy Chris Collier, who mixed it in L.A., did a great job of upping the game in terms of the way it sounded sonically and everything. So.
Now, when you sent it off to Frontiers, did they master it, or did you master it? I know. Did you work with Alessandro?
Chris Collier mastered it.
He mastered, mastered.
Chris likes to do both, which is, I get it, because you send
Right.
somebody a mix nowadays,
And then it changes.
check it against other stuff, and everything's mastered, so it's so flatlined these days.
Right.
You know, just really loud and compressed, and it can be a bummer to hear your stuff unmastered. So, Chris does a great job at both.
Yeah. Now let's switch gears over to Whitesnake, and then we'll get into your gear, like we discussed earlier. Now, I saw that you were recently with David and Reb.
Yeah.
Now, was that just more of a vacation, or are you guys actually writing?
No, well, we're working on new music.
You're working on.
Yeah, among other things.
Right. Now, is there a timetable for new Whitesnake, or
That's
too early to tell?
In terms of you know, when and what the intentions are with that. But yeah, we came up with a lot of stuff. It was super productive, really fun. You know, I love working with both those guys, and we did a lot of working together. Not like, here's my song, play this.
Right.
you
Right.
know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool. You know, Reb's a super talented guy, and he's also a very song-driven guy. He's not,
Yes.
you know, he's known for being a shredder, but I've been saying since I've been in the band that Reb's a great rhythm player, and he's a lot more about the big picture than people realize. It's, you know, nowadays there's so many YouTube guys that are doing backflips while they're sweeping arpeggios, and you know it's like circus like. And Reb has great chops, but
Yeah.
he's kind of like my mindset, where it's more about being in a band songs
Hmm.
and then a cool guitar solo never hurt anybody kind of vibe, you know.
Right. Well, he's also one funny guy too.
Oh, he's hilarious, yeah. So
I had the pleasure of when he was in Dokken for a short time. I had the pleasure of opening for them and my old original band. And the guy just, I didn't have a lot of time with him, but I just laughed the whole time.
yeah, the Whitesnake bus in general is lots of laughs. Our bass player is one of the funniest guys on the planet too. Michael Devin is like, I mean, we're just crying laughing on our bus, and Tommy Aldridge has got, you know, amazing one-liners and a very unique guy in terms of his sense of humor as well. So it's like it's a lot of laughs on our bus.
Is Tommy staying on? Because I know he's been in and out.
Yeah, as far as I know.
Cool.
I you know, David's been saying, I mean, he would like to stick with this lineup all the way out in his career. He's really happy with everybody. And I mean, I think he had thought about possibly hanging it up sooner, and he's just having a good time with us. He really likes the lineup right now and the way it just kind of is very band-like. Everybody's kind of cool with each other. There's no animosity. So I don't know. He's having a good time, and it's a cool mix of guys. You know, you got Tommy and Reb who've been there a while that are bigger name guys, and guys like me and Michele that are like newer to the band, and just kind of excited to be there. So I don't know. All kind of clicks, man.
Any touring coming up in the summer, or are you guys taking the time off this year?
And that's all. You know, that's all up to David to tell
David,
me too. So yeah, sorry I can't tell you more.
That's fine. Just figured I'd ask.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch to gear now, because I know a lot of guys that listen to this. You know, that's, you know how you're a guitar player. You know how it is as far as gear goes.
Absolutely, it's an addiction.
Oh yeah. Now, so what is your current like rig? Your rig, not, you know, if you're going to do a fly date, you're going to use backline stuff or whatever. What is your actual personal rig consist of? You know, start with your amp.
Well, the last two tours with Whitesnake, I've been using the Friedman BE 100.
Yep.
So I have two of those. Obviously, I'm really only running one head, but one as a backup, and it's a very simple setup because it's a two guitar band. You kind of fill the stage on each side. So, and I use the Fractal Axe-FX 2 for delay and reverb. Essentially, I mean that's so none of the amp modeling stuff, and just in the effects loop, and that's really nice. That's been nice for me because I can have everything kind of BPM'd out. So even if I just have like a quick eighth note slap back on a rhythm that's kind of just in there a little bit to widen it, I can have it go to the time of the song, which I like, and my solos are all in time with the song. They're not just floating out of time, and so that's worked out really well, and I just use a rack wah unit, and that's about it, man. I mean, I have this Rotophase pedal that I used on the some of the Deep Purple stuff for more of that kind of 70s vibe, and that's really it. It's a very simple setup, man. I'm just
it works.
Les Pauls are, Reb does kind of the super strat vibe with all his Sir stuff, so I'm pretty much, I have two customs that they made me.
There's a purple one, right? A purple and
the purple one is from this company called Atomic. They made that for me, and I use
that's right. Yep.
The solo. So I have two Gibson customs that I've been using, and that Atomic one, and then I do have two Strats too that have made their way in there a bit.
Now, when you talked about using the Axe-FX, just for the mainly just for the effects. When you were doing like Rock of Ages, I'm imagining you guys went direct a lot.
We did after we moved. So we started with EVH amps off Broadway and the beginning of Broadway, and then we moved at some point we changed theaters, and at that point we'd had enough of like worrying about whether or not a tube was going to go bad. It's not when you do a Broadway gig, you can't stop a show to change a
Right.
tube.
Yeah.
You can't even have anything distracting going on up there if a pedal is going bad on your patch cable or anything. And so it just became the smarter decision, was like, let's just go with a fractal, and less can go wrong, which was totally the right decision. I mean, it was like we did 4 years, and I only had, a couple of things go wrong that whole time in terms of, any kind of technical disaster where you're up there. So it just takes a lot out of the equation. That was always like wireless, your wireless screw up on you or something. And, but it was the right decision. And even with TSO, that's pretty much the way that gig works.
Yeah.
There's no amps. It's too huge a setup for them to be, breaking out 2 half stacks every day. And you can't have those on the deck anyway, even if you wanted to. So what I do with that is I run the fractal, and then really on both of those gigs, I try to use guitars for certain songs that have the Fernandez sustainers in them. If you want to get feedback or notes that hold, I find that's the huge problem with doing the processor thing, is use sustain. So it's not ideal. I mean, you're kind of creating like fake sustain and fake tone, but it's better than having bad tone.
Right.
If that makes sense. So,
well, you're running in-ears too, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
you're running.
So, and honestly, when you're playing in an arena, so 50% of what people are hearing off your guitar tone is room anyway. It's crazy. Yeah. You could almost not tell a difference when you get into a big setup like that. It's, your guitar could be like coming through a tiny practice amp and no one would know the difference. There's so much echo and room on everything.
Now, you mentioned the Friedman, the BE100s that you're using now. Do you have a personal favorite amp in your collection that you end up going back to all the time, or that you'll never get rid of?
No, I mean, I really, that's all I own right now.
It's just the Friedman.
I own 2 EVH3 heads from, I use those my whole time with Night Ranger. And I have a Metza Barba head that that I toyed around with actually quite a bit when I went out to David's this last run. That's got a cool thing too. So I think, what's going to be it moving forward is do with how the actual guitar tracking goes on the stuff. I mean, I may keep stuff that went down when I was just out there, but odds are I like to recut everything. So I would think I'm gonna have some Marshall stuff out there with mods and whatnot, and the Friedmans and the Metza Barba. So we'll see what shakes out in the end.
So you're kind of like me. I have you saw the Friedman, from seeing my camera here. That's the only amp I own right now. If I don't use it, I usually sell the stuff off or get rid of it.
I live in New York City, so
it's hard for you to keep a lot of stuff.
And for me, I would never use a half stack on a gig in town. Right. So there's really no reason for me to have one. Number 2, I really don't even have room in my place for one. So it's I have various direct recording units here at home. I'll use the 11 rack sometimes, or the Axe Effects, or sometimes I'll use the True Fire from Amplifier. That's a cool unit because it's portable. I don't know about you, but when I try and use plugins for software on my laptop, a lot of times it crashes. Yeah, it just gets annoying. So I like having a separate unit that won't, when you're trying to get a take, it doesn't. I'm not big on punching in. I try and.
No, I don't like that either. I have a Line 6 Helix here and an Atomic amplifier, the 3-button, that I just keep on my desk.
I just use the Friedman patch off of the amplifier, really.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it works great.
Yeah, those guys, and they just came out with the 12.
Yeah. I actually.
There's another. Did you see that amplifier? I guess it's called it's a little box. It's a little pedal. It's like a 1 or 2 button pedal now to run direct right off of that.
Really?
Amplifier box or something it's called like that. I can't remember the actual name of it, but it's a small, if you can see me, it's just a small little, the size of like a dual chorus or delay pedal.
Wow, that's great, man.
And I guess you can load in like 3 different impulse responses, and you can load in up to 9 presets.
Oh, cool.
On it. But
Yeah,
that
I mean that's kind of the story at home. Lots of direct stuff. If I do sessions here, if I got something that I got to cut with amps, I usually go over to my friend Tommy Kessler's in Jersey. He's got a studio out there, and I'll cut. Like when I played on Jeff Scott Soto's album or Michael Sweet's record that I played on last year, anything like that where I'm like, I don't want to use just a fractal on that, and
yeah.
I want to do it the real way. And so I'll just head over there. And all of Dying to Live, the album that we were talking about earlier, I cut with the Friedman. That's basically every note of it is the Friedman B100, and everything on the Purple too with Whitesnake was the B100.
Yeah, I definitely could hear. Like I wasn't sure it was the Friedman, but when I listened to the tracks on Dying to Live, I was like, that tone is a familiar tone to me. And it's a good one too. So,
oh yeah,
bravo,
yeah, great sound of the amp, man, for sure.
And it's just versatile. Like a lot of people will think, well, that's just a hot rodded Marshall sound, but that thing can go from the cleanest Fender clean that I've heard to if you want to get into thrash territory, if you add a couple of pedals to it.
Right, push the front end a little bit.
Yep.
Scoop those mids out.
yeah, definitely. But I'm gonna. I think we're good. I don't want to keep you too long. We're coming up on 30 minutes here, so I'm sure you're busy. You seem to be busy all the time, which is good. But I thank you again. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, man, my pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Fun chatting with you.
Yeah, definitely. What I'll do is on the podcast, I'll list your website and all that other good stuff, and I'll let you know when it's up.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, dude. I'll be sure to post it and all that stuff.
Oh, awesome. I appreciate that. And there you have it, Joel Hoekstra from Whitesnake. Just a really, really good guy to come on to this podcast. Take the time out. The guy is insanely busy, well-deserved, and it was a pleasure having him on. I thank him for that. If you want to check Joel out, you can check out his website at www.joelhoekstra.com, JoelHoekstra.com. Check it out. You would not believe the list of people that he's played with on that website. If you go into his bio, just people that you wouldn't even think of, like Ray Parker. Check it out. The guy's done everything, and I wish nothing but the best for him. He's one of the good guys. So, again, thank you, Joel. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Again, remember, please subscribe. Let's share this podcast. Leave me some reviews, and I'm going to keep this thing going. Until next time, take care.